y'all, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video of information that I'm truly interested in knowing about. Now, you may have actually been hearing some rumblings about JLo potentially moving back to New York and maybe possibly getting back with a reconnection with A-Rod. I don't know about that one. And then we're also talking about maybe, was it a situation of wasted years with Ben? Was this reconciliation, if you will, just a total waste of time? We're going to talk about that. And then lastly, we're going to zoom into across the pond. Yeah, because I wanted to talk about that too. So I am glad that you are here. Let's sit back, relax, and let's just go into it. And I'll go ahead and start off the conversation. But make sure you're leaving your thoughts down below. Now, you may have noticed that I have maybe a couple, but for sure one video about JLo that's probably listed under my live tab. So if you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at that video, I hope that you will after watching this one. I delved into some information in regards to what it seemed like the rumblings were regarding Matt Damon, which is a very close friend, more like a brother to Ben Affleck, and as well as those friends who were sticking by JLo's side and just putting it out there that they really are sticking by her side. And that one person that you would have seen referenced was Andy Cohen, because at the end of the day, JLo does a lot of appearances on Watch What Happens Live. So it didn't really surprise me that Andy would come out there and just show his support for JLo. And so I'm sure she was highly appreciative of that. Now, as you may already know, JLo apparently seems to be vacationing more or less in the Northeast area, somewhere between the Hamptons and maybe New York at some point. And she seems to be living her best life. She's been doing a lot of filming, I guess TikToks, Instagram posts or whatever have been popping off in regards to her dancing, taking pictures out in fields and bike rides with friends and just having a good old time. So, you know, she's looking like, hey, look, if I'm going to be doing what I need to do, no matter what the situation, you ain't never going to see me sweat. So at the end of the day, I applaud her on that. All right. Whenever you got a situation that takes you down, she's showing you how you just get right back up. So we'll see how all this unfolds. But one of the things I thought was quite interesting is when there started to be reports about possibly her not only relocating to New York, which wasn't the most strangest thing to me because she is originally from New York, but that she might be possibly reconnecting with A-Rod. And I thought that was a bit strange. And let me tell you why. Hear me out, hear me out. I know some people probably were really fond of that pairing. I was great with whatever she decided to do because it didn't matter to me one way or another. However, when I was hearing about potential situations that was happening, alleged situations that were happening, such as infidelity on A-Rod's part, I felt that, yeah, that was a no-go for JLo. And when Ben was able to cruise himself right back on in after that 17-year hiatus, it was a donezo deal for A-Rod and JLo pairing. Now, some people feel like she really came into more of her own, I guess, in the popularity arena when she was with A-Rod, because, you know, A-Rod is obviously very popular and famous himself, you know, being I was a retired baseball player and had those massive contracts in his day. So, you know, he is a force to be reckoned with in his own private and I'm sure celebrity life as well. So at the end of the day, it was a match for, it appears to be, or did appear to be a match for them at the time. Now, I thought that the engagement went on a little bit too long because JLo, you know, this would have been her fourth marriage if she hadn't married A-Rod. And typically her engagements don't seem to take that long to get through. So when it started going year after year, I started feeling, you know, it's possibly this may not go the way we think. It may not end in a marital bliss. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Maybe for other reasons or such. I don't believe that JLo was waiting around for Ben Affleck, but I do think that as soon as stuff started to rumble about, you know, some of the misdeeds and misgivings that was alleged about A-Rod, that was a close case for JLo. There was no need for her to stay in a situation where she's not the only one. And I don't blame her on that. Now, I was one of those individuals who thought that Jennifer and Ben were really a true match, maybe even soulmated, fated for sure. And I was, hey, I was about it. Great. I love love. And if you can separate and come back together and be madly in love with each other, and it's authentic and caring and all of this, great. But not in my wildest dreams would I have thought that would have turned to less than 2 years, because now we're in the sphere of their anniversary, if it hadn't already passed. They're getting a divorce. At least that's what the rumors are saying. So against all things alleged, that's what's probably happening. They sold their home. I mean, we're talking about kids and families integrating and all of that stuff happening. And now it's just, that's it. Less than 2 years, basically. That's it. It's over. So yeah, I can only imagine how difficult this must be to go through, and especially go through in front of the world, to see every waking moment of it. And when I mean that there's a lot of coverage on JLo, there's a lot of coverage on JLo, and not so much in her favor either. So that's what got me a bit intrigued, because I never was someone who was so gaga over JLo or anything like that. I thought she performed good, and that's great, and that was that. But it's the way that things have unfolded now. And I just really was like, stop the madness when it came to the fact of her basically possibly going A-Rod. I just didn't see that. But let's get into the sharing that does speak about that. And I would love to know your thoughts. All right. So according to In Touch Weekly and Newsbreak, they are sharing that Jennifer Lopez is pushing for a full-time move to New York and misses what she had with Alex Rodriguez. Yeah, we'll see about that. Now, is Jenny heading back to the block? Sources exclusively tell In Touch Jennifer Lopez is planning to move out of Hollywood amid her relationship drama with husband Ben Affleck. And friends are buzzing she may wind up targeting unlikely reunion with ex Alex Rodriguez. Even before things went totally south with Ben, she was pushing for a full-time move to New York. And now she's decided to go ahead with that after the split, says an insider. In Touch was the first to exclusively report last month that the Good Will Hunting star 51 and the Let's Get Loud singer 54 are headed for a divorce, and that Ben moved out of their marital home. Neither have publicly addressed the split rumors, though Ben has been seen without his wedding ring on while JLo was thousands of miles away vacationing in Italy. While JLo may head to the East Coast in the near future, the source explains she'll probably keep a place in LA, but she needs to get away from all the noise and the scrutiny of the West Coast. Earlier this month, she told fans via a video clip on her JLo Beauty Instagram account that she was getting ready to head out, adding that she was traveling to New York, and ending the video clip, she exclaimed, "See you in New York." As for her 16-year-old twins, Max and Emmy, whom she shares with ex-husband Mark Anthony, the source points out that they would adjust to the transition. There's nothing to stop her from taking the kids and making a fresh start back in New York, the insider says. They've got plenty of schools back east, and she's got a great social circle there. In fact, the sources say JLo was in her element when she was dating ex-fiance Alex and spending so much time in the city with the former New York Yankees superstar. While A-Rod, 48, has been linked to Canadian fitness instructor Jacqueline Cordero since October of 2022, the insider says JLo is even starting to miss what she had with him, adding he's got a girlfriend now, but JLo doesn't intend to stay single long, and she and A-Rod do have unfinished business. Now, I wonder if that unfinished business is associated with the fact that the split was so quick, and maybe one felt that they were just kind of blindsided with the whole thing. Because what was finished for one may be unfinished for the other, but that doesn't mean the other didn't feel it was finished. JLo and A-Rod officially called off their engagement in April of 2021, shortly before she rekindled her romance with Ben. She and Oscar winner moved quickly into a relationship and finally tied the knot in Las Vegas on July 16, 2022. When it comes to A-Rod, though the sources explain for all his faults, they did have an intense connection. He was devastated when they split up. He insists he's happier now without her, but they have a lot of mutual friends that aren't so convinced. And he's not married or engaged, so at this point, it's not beyond the realm that they could reconnect. Regardless, the Big Apple is not so big when it comes to A-list celebrities, and when she's in New York, it's a small social scene. The source notes, so on, and no doubt they'll cross paths. And I mean, it's quite possible, isn't it? Because any place that you can mount yourself, when you're at a top 1%, it's going to be a small area to cover as far as ground. And so, yeah, you probably can throw a stone and bump into someone that you know when you run in those circles. So, I mean, what is your thoughts about this? I personally think that it's probably a little bit to do about nothing. I know that she did spin the block with Ben, but I don't know, is she ready to spin the block again with another ex, especially one who is reportedly and allegedly and visually put out that he had possibly had some infidelity issues regarding her. I mean, does that make a lot of sense? Are we going to now stream the kids back together into what was a situation they were going to be establishing a family, but no longer, and now we're going to do it again? I don't know. I think that me personally, I mean, you know, like I told you before in a previous video, hey, my thoughts are I would take a break. I would definitely take a break between relationships, get my bearings together, get myself together. But I also had a friend who said, look, the best way to get over an old person is to get under a new one. And she meant that literally in every sense of the word. There was no point in letting too much grass grow under her feet. And so, look, you know, whatever works and whatever floats your boat. There is a good point to be made that JLo doesn't tend to stay single very long. However, I don't know about spinning the block twice with two different exes back to back. I don't know if that's the best choice either. But hey, it's her life and these are rich people problems. And at the end of the day, she will make the right decision. I'm sure that is best for her. And hopefully that was also best for her children. Because at the end of the day, the children are the ones that really matter the most at this point. Now, they say that it will be an easy transition for her kids to actually move back to New York. I think that's a good thing, obviously, because they've got family there as well. And it's a good social circle like they share, good schools, good opportunities there. And at the end of the day, I'm sure they spent a lot of time in New York at some point during their growing up ages. And, you know, and then they're soon to be looking at college, if not already picked out what they want to do. So, you know, it's probably a win-win altogether. And as long as JLo is happy in her everyday existence, it's only going to benefit the kids. So at this point, you know, I sorry to say that, you know, the issues are there, that where it seems to be that Jen and Ben are going to soon to be no longer. I guess will remain to be seen. I did see some pictures of JLo recently, and she still was wearing her ring. I did see another picture of Ben, which would have been after it was reported he wasn't wearing his, and he was wearing his ring in that picture. So whatever that's about, I don't know. But yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts about it. Do you think that she is making this move not only for personal and business ventures associated to her and her kids, but do you think she's looking to make a possible reconnection to A-Rod? Do you think A-Rod would even take her back? I mean, my goodness. I mean, you know, it was a little bit humiliating, wasn't it? I wouldn't want to go back to that. But, you know, hey, they said that he was happy without her. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. You know, we never know. Sometimes the kismet happens, the stars align a certain way, and you just never know. So let me know your thoughts down below. I would really like to know what you're thinking about that. Now, of course, what's connected to this possible move that's happening, which I think is very likely will happen, is that now it appears that the family members are kind of chiming in on their true feelings and thoughts about the situation with Ben and maybe the direction that JLo should be going. So, of course, everything's all alleged at this point because we weren't there sitting in the room and listening to that conversation, but this is what is being reported. So let's go ahead and move on to wasted years. You heard me right, wasted years. And really more inclined to, is it wasted years identified by JLo or identified by her family? Let us see. So according to She Knows and Newsbreak, insiders allege that these members of Jennifer Lopez's family believe she wasted years on Ben Affleck. Because remember, we're not talking about just the last couple of years of their rekindling. There was at least 2 years or so, plus before that, 17 years ago. So that's a long time of coverage of just being in someone's ether, right? And the only reason why that current situation of marriage happened was because there was a 2 years prior and that 17-year gap. So let's continue. While it seems as though everyone was joyous about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's rekindled relationship, me being one of them, it seems Lopez's family may not have been too thrilled about it. Hmm. In fact, insiders are even exclaiming that Lopez's mother and sisters want her to just move on already amid the divorce rumors. Okay. No. Jennifer's mom told her, cut your losses. Oh, you know what? Let's back up a little bit. It says an insider recently told Daily Mail that Lopez's mother, Guadalupe Rodriguez, is allegedly telling her daughter to cut her losses and find love elsewhere. And she's not the only one. Jennifer's mom told her, cut your losses and move on to avoid getting any deeper into this mess. The insider said, also saying how Rodriguez reportedly told Lopez that she wasted years believing that Ben was some kind of knight in shining armor. The insider added he was not the person she built him up to be, which isn't that kind of the way it goes for a lot of relationships? You put up this persona for someone, or this persona shows themselves as a certain way, and then it ends up not being. So isn't that a human thing? It's taken too much of a toll on her, which I personally feel that that's probably true, because physically, visually, honestly, she looks a little tired. And because of this, she has lost sight of who she is and what she stands for. Now, that's a lot. I mean, honestly, we're talking about a really, really grown woman. So to lose so much of yourself inside of a 2-year situation, I don't know. But I digress. Apparently, Rodriguez thinks Lopez should move on from this 20-year romance and find someone new, or else she may lose herself more. So maybe it's more of the idea of the relationship and the romance attached to it versus the person itself. Because I could see you getting lost in the facade of what you think the love is and the romantic situation going on, but it may not really be what it is. So maybe that's what she's more connected to. It's just a possibility, just throwing out something. Not only that, but Lopez's sisters Leslie Ann and Linda are on board with the dump Ben train, allegedly believing Lopez has lost sight of who she is. Jennifer currently feels like Ben does not deserve her, and her sisters agree. The insider added to the outlet, they want Jennifer to be happy, of course, but they feel their sister is getting so caught up in what is supposed to be that she isn't seeing it for what it is now. And I kind of wonder, is that totally the case? Because some may feel that it is, or is it that she's just a person just trying to hold on to her marriage? At the end of the day, their whole entire romance, not to mention their lives, is in the spotlight. So it is a bit of a pill to take when you have just put out all these beautiful pictures of these weddings and photos and information and film and the whole engagement announcement and all these things for it to just puff up in smoke. Now, this comes as a big shock because Lopez's mom previously sung Affleck's praises, and I do remember a lot of that. Back in 2023, she said, I knew that you would always get back together because I prayed for 20 years. Okay. Rodriguez told Hoda, and I would assume that means that, look, she was just as enamored of the situation as well. And I heard some rumors, and it is just rumors because I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but I was hearing that, she wasn't too thrilled of the relationship between JLo and P. Diddy back in the day. And for some reason, I don't find that to be surprising, but that she seemed to be really overjoyed about the situation with Ben. I'm going to leave that to your own devices of what you may think that might be the reason. But, let me know respectfully down in the comment sections, how do you feel about the turnabout situation? Now, of course, we're seeing what's going on with P. Diddy, all things alleged. We're not getting into P. Diddy in any kind of real form in this particular sharing, but just keeping that all in mind. Ben is not a peach at this point either, is what it seems to be, or alleged to be. But I've seen photos of him too, and he just looks really tired to me too. So if the insiders are correct, then what the heck happened? Yeah, I want to know that too, but we probably will know. Lopez and Affleck's rumored split has fans trying to piece together all of the details. For those who don't know, Lopez and Affleck fell in love on the set of the film JLo, and by 2002, they fell in love. They appeared in a couple more projects together and got engaged by the end of 2002 per People. In 2003, they postponed their wedding and then broke up days before due to the paparazzi and pressure they faced, and were broken up in 2004. In 2021, Lopez and Affleck rekindled their romance. A year later, they got engaged and married in a lavish ceremony. But as of June 2024, it seems their marriage is strained and breakup rumors have been looming over them. And it's really sad and unfortunate, quite frankly. I mean, say whatever you want to say. Looking after the perspective of just the couple of them, the relationship itself, it's just sad. I mean, how many people do you see getting married? I mean, on average, I mean, I'm not saying it never happens, but let's be for real. How many people do you see getting married and then, have all this hoopla surrounding the marriage, all the friends there, the family's there, everybody's involved, and yada, yada, yada. And then next thing you know, you're saying, hey, look, it's over, and this is why, or this isn't why, it's just over. So all of this was just a dream. I don't know. I would be upset too. I mean, the money that was expended on this, but I guess that's most people's problems as well, because, that's something that I'm sure she'll recoup in some fashion or form. But the fact that they were not able to keep it together is so, just sad in essence. Now, I know that there are, conversations out there, of course, about Ben and how he may be, as far as maybe some substance issues that he may have or whatnot, all alleged. I don't know all the details regarding that, and again, this is not part of the sharing, but it can be an impactful situation, obviously. If you have a situation where someone is one way and the other person's another way, meaning that what's kind of being reported also more or less is that, look, he can't change her, and he can't be something and he can't change her, or she can't make him do something or control him and he can't change her. And these are things that you would have known that already. I mean, at the end of the day, you knew who she was. And if you did not know back in 2002, you most certainly have seen over this last 17 and a half years, because there's no doubt in my mind that he was tracking some of that a lot longer than the amount of time he was split from his first wife and involved in any of the relationships after fact. Quite frankly, I think he went running to JLo when the opportunity was made, for him to do that. And I wonder if when he did become famously divorced from Jennifer Garner, did JLo kind of start thinking about some things herself and reflecting on really what she was doing in her current situation? So, at the end of the day, is this a karmic relationship? Is this a real soulmate connection? Who knows? And do we even know for a fact that they're not going to stay together? We don't know that either. It's just going to be potentially just a split, or is this really going to move forward to a full-on divorce? And for what we see for most relationship issues that start off this way, it usually does end in divorce, because it just seems to be the thing to do for the most part. Valuing a relationship, it takes a lot of work. At the end of the day, the amount of work and effort you put into a job that you may like, or into an occupation that you enjoy, or to a business that you've created, you still got to find that same type of oomph and inspiration, motivation, and work ethic in a relationship. Now, if you have to work too hard for a relationship, then that's a different conversation, right? If there's too many outside forces that are affecting your situation, then that might be a different situation if you're not able to deal with those things and come to a happy medium that makes it workable for both. But I will have to say, for me, I think this is sad, honestly, just on the level of a couple. I think it's sad. If I'm not mistaken, I think her wedding ring has gotten engraved, basically saying I'm not going anywhere, and that was supposed to be from Ben, if that's true. I mean, what? It looks like he's on the first train smoking, okay? And then, she's gallivanting over here on the Northeast. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know, what do you do with that? And and then the kids, but maybe the kids are more used to the situation. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's not really the conversation here that I'm having, or the question that I'm having. Maybe one that you might be thinking about, but I'm wondering, are they just maybe somewhat used to all of this interaction with other individuals? Personally, I wouldn't want that kind of circumstance, but that's me, right? And some of us would prefer not to have to go down this road of marriage 8,000 times, because, oh my gosh, there's just not that many people in the world that you'd want to be settling down all of this with. And at the end of the day, some of these marriages, they become business arrangements to some degree, and that's a lot to untangle, So of course, we don't know all the ins and outs of their situation. I don't think that we necessarily will, and I don't think it's necessary for us to know. But at the end of the day, it just seems like a whole lot to do about nothing. And was this whole reconciliation just that, a whole lot to do about nothing? So I guess at this point, I wish them both well, though, and happiness, wherever that's going to be, and definitely happiness for the children because they need it the most, in my opinion. They need it the most. So now that we have moved on from love unrequited and trying to roll back the hands of time to did we really waste those years? Let's go ahead and go cross over to the pond and see what they're doing over there, shall we? All right, so I found this to be interesting. And if you're a royal watcher like I am on occasion, you might find this to be interesting too. Now, I used to actually live in England for about 4 years or so because I'm a veteran. My father was also in the military. And I feel, and I said this in one of my past videos too, that I think that there is more information that I hear about and know about story-wise since I've been in the States, more than I ever did when I actually lived in the country that these people reside in. So yeah, I mean, it's really become a true telenovela, so to speak, of situations here over there across the pond. But let's get into it. So it appears that, according to Marie Claire, the U.S. version of it, and Newsbreak, that Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis will reportedly be encouraged to not become working royals. Will not be. Okay, let's try it again. So basically, they're not looking for them to be working royals. Under the radical plans to reshape the British monarchy when Prince William and Prince Kate take the throne. We'll see how that shapes up too. I don't know what her situation is. I know that they were saying she had cancer or was going through cancer treatment. Haven't saw much since then or really paid much more attention to that. But if that is what is going on for sure, I wish her and her family well. And that is a horrible thing to have to go through. So whatever it may be, I hope that she's doing well. Prince William, it says, is speaking to the BBC or had spoke to the BBC in a 2016 interview. And he has said that he and his wife, then the Duchess of Cambridge, and now the Princess of Wales, are looking to raise their children as good people with the idea of service and duty to others as very important, he said, for the Tatler. Just love it when it doesn't work. Yeah, okay. Wherever that came from. You know what? I really want to show. Okay. Well, you see, this is Louis here, and over here is Charlotte. So I did have a nice pictures for them solely, but apparently didn't make the list. So anyways, but as the Daily Mail's Richard Eden writes, at least for the two of William and Kate's 3 children, that service and duty to others might not include being working royals. What he told me left me worried about the future of the monarchy. Quite frankly, I don't even know why the monarchy still exists, but let's go. Eden wrote of a conversation he had had with a friend of William's about how he sees the firm operating in the future. The friend said William was in full agreement with his father, King Charles, about the need for a slimmed-down monarchy. He told me when the older members of the family retire, His Royal Highness won't be inviting anyone else to become working royals. It remains to be seen if he will even want his 2 younger children to be working royals, referring, of course, to Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis. Prince George, the eldest, is heir to the throne and therefore presumably at least locked into a future with her. Tom Sykes, the Daily Beast, said that William and Kate want to find a practical solution to the spare problem for Charlotte and Louis, and that they don't want history to repeat itself, referring, of course, to Prince Harry, William's younger brother, who was so affected by his label of despair to William's heir that he even titled his memoir. And if you've read that, let me know. That when it was released in 2023. Harry wasn't the only member of the royal family to feel stunted by the heir and spare dynamic, but at least in modern history, he has certainly been the most out front and public about it. Sykes reports in the Daily Beast that Charlotte and Louis are to be encouraged to not become working royals under, I don't know why that's so hard to say, working royals under what Sykes calls radical plans to reshape the British monarchy. When William and Princess Kate ascend to the throne, following the disastrous impact on the family of Prince Harry's vitriolic exit from royal life, Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, stepped back at working members of the royal family in 2020. But Harry had considered doing so for years, which I wish that would be said more often, long before he had met Meghan in 2016. The only thing about Meghan is that he happened to find himself, in my opinion, someone who was okay with that ride, So, oh my gosh. Anyways, the working assumption is that the younger two children will get on and do their own thing, said a source whom Sky Sykes described as a former Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace staffer who keeps in contact with former colleagues. They added Charlotte and Louis that they will be encouraged to not become working royals. Of the aforementioned report from the Daily Mail, Eden Sykes' source confirmed it, telling him it's absolutely true. The option isn't there for George, of course, but the children have been kept at arm's length from royal life. They are exposed to the minimum possible publicly, and that is a deliberate strategy to let Charlotte and Louis choose their own destiny. Of William and Harry's basically non-existent relationship, which has no doubt affected by the heir and the spare dynamic, it is no secret that William has been devastated by the destruction of his relationship with Harry. They said, adding that William appreciates that the whole system where one of your kids is less important than the other due to an accident of birth, and a massive part to play in what happened and how it happened. There is an entirely reasonable argument to be made that if you are born into the royal family, the logical thing to do is to leave it. The same logic applies to your kids. He doesn't want to put them through a human minor or through a human mincer that is going to cause everyone misery. He and Catherine adore their children, and their whole lives are about the children. I think they want to find a practical solution to the spare problem that has been bedeviled the family for generations. The solution apparently is treating the three kids as equals, and when the time comes, allowing Charlotte and Louis to forge their own respective paths. If you look at the spares who have made it work, you may only really have Prince Edward and Prince Anne, another friend of the family told the Daily Beast, as far as options to look at anyways. Princess Margaret's life was pretty miserable, and Harry we know all about. I'm sure William and Catherine don't want history to repeat itself. Princess Diana, who is, of course, William and Harry's mother, and who tried to treat her boys as equal, although the royal family of yesteryear tried to exasperate the difference between the heir and the spare, would have turned 63 on July 1st. In 1 week's time, Diana's birthday is painful for Harry and William, both, a source said per OK. For Harry, he thinks about what could have been, and William is reminded of being without her from such a young age. The loss of their mother cuts deep. They said that of Harry ultimately leaving the working core of the royal family, Harry was scared by what his mother went through, and when he saw the same thing happening to Meghan, he knew he must act. He is certain his mother would have approved of him leaving the royal family, and Diana had tried to do the same. And he thinks she would be proud of him and his new life. But of William and Harry's current relationship, they added, that would break her heart to see brother against brother. And I would have to agree on all fronts on that. Whether you agree on the reasons why they are here and in this position is really never mind at this point. The fact that they are not able to come back or have not been able to come back together is sad. And that's going to require responsibility and accountability on both parts, I'm sure, to really get out what needs to be get out and to make the necessary apologies and actually mean them, and then continue to work in a way that is conducive to the truths that we would all hope that they would have as a family. But the bottom line is, when you mix business with pleasure, this is sometimes what you get. And I don't know if there's a whole lot of pleasure going on being part of the royal family, but for sure, mixing the business aspect of it, although being called the firm, instead of really looking at it as a family, is just troublesome at best at most cases. Now, I think it's great that, they have whatever they have here. I am surprised the monarchy is still lasting, to be honest with you, as long as they have. But, I guess time will will sell, and time may sell, who knows. But time will tell for sure if this is something that will be able to withstand. Obviously, if you start to slim down the monarchy, it could reboot some things, or it could be just kind of a sign of the times that, at the end of the day, there's no reason for them to be working anything, because it's not going to be much of one left if things persist on the way that they have. And of course, we don't 100% know all about Catherine's fate, right? Princess Kate's fate. We don't really know what's going to happen with that as well. Do wish her well, of course. So, there's so many things to think about. And with King Charles right now, personally going through his own harrowing situation with cancer, definitely it's a lot, I'm sure, to deal with on all fronts. And it's scary, we're all human and we all can have the same types of issues. So at the end of the day, I hope that things work out to the resolve in which they should. And for sure, whatever the case may be for Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis, that they are able to become the human beings they want to be once they get to a certain point. Because there's only one person that can hold on a throne. Again, I don't know why it exists, but at the end of the day, this is what they do. This is what they do. It is what it is. But hopefully they'll find the fulfillment that is needed for them, because this concept of pitting people against people, family members against family members, and definitely, the ones I could think of that is only by accident that you are in this position. I mean, it's just quite old, isn't it? Quite archaic and so unnecessary. And there's so many other things going on in the world today, isn't there? So yeah, maybe they will find their way, find their peace, and I hope they do so. But I think it is a great idea to prepare the two younger ones for fulfillment in their lives as they get older, so they don't feel as if they're less than, because they shouldn't consider themselves that way or be meant to feel that way just because they weren't born first. And speaking from one who actually is a firstborn, it tends to not really necessarily be a walk in the park. So you may not be missing out on much. But at the end of the day, we wish everyone well in this situation. And I guess time will tell as to what will happen with the monarchy and how things will play themselves out in the future. Well, we did talk and cover quite a bit today in this video, and I will be popping up with another one later. So please make sure that you have your notification bells on and that you're subscribed to the channel, because I would love to have you and love to have you here and want to hear what your thoughts are as well, because you're hearing mine. So definitely make sure you respectively leave those comments in the comment section so we can talk about it, right? And so we've covered pretty much the gamut with JLo and now the royal family. So look at that, we've crossed the ponds inside of a very short period of time. But again, I'm so glad that you were here. Thank you so much. And if you appreciated the information on the stories, feel free to please give me a like. I would appreciate that too on your way out. As you know, it does help my videos and it helps with the algorithm. And for all of you new people that are subscribed to the channel, welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really glad you're part of the family. And for those who have already been rocking with me, I so appreciate you. You know I do. And thank you very much. And at the end of the day, I really do appreciate all of the viewing support. So with that, and for this video, I will bid you adieu. And until next time, you take care and be blessed. Bye.